Right from the start, it's every man for himself in Grand National Cross Country Racing. And after 3 hours of battling through the woods, the finish has often come down to mere seconds at the line. Who'll shake the champagne today? Racer TV's next.
Are you ready to go GNCC Racing?
It's the AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country Series coverage here on NBCSN. I'm Jason Wygant, your host. The venerable Weisco John Penton GNCC, Southern Ohio, a hotbed for off-road motorcycle racing. Nearly 2,000 competitors this weekend, just like we saw at our last race. Here's your AMSOIL race recap. The X-Factor Whitetails GNCC race in Indiana 2 weeks ago. This is Tele Energy KTM Stu Baylor in the lead, showing his skills in the technical terrain. But unfortunately, these conditions, well, they can cause problems with motorcycles, and that's not good timing if you're Baylor leading and you have your defending series champion Caleb Russell chasing. A lap later, Baylor comes into the same section and he has problems with his foot peg, and that's going to allow an easy pass for Russell, who then tries to book it and get out of there. Now, he has to worry always about his championship rival, Thad Duvall, but on this day, Duvall had a terrible start. Combine that with the bike problems here for Baylor. Here's Duvall coming through, and Russell has a solid lead. Baylor gets the bike back going, they get the foot peg fixed, and now he and Duvall are going to duke it out for second. All of which leads to an easy day for Russell. He and Duvall have had some knockdown, drag-out, right down to the wire fights for victories this season. But Duvall's last place start could never quite get the champ within his sights, and thus Russell has his 5th win of the year. Grant Baylor edges his brother Stu 8th place there. Josh Toth, he's your XC2 250 winner. So now we transition into today's Weisco John Penton GNCC, 3 hours in front of the fans, many of whom have already completed their 2-hour amateur race. Gonna watch the pros go at it for 3 hours on a track offering a variety of terrain. The front row is our XC1 Pro class on 450cc bikes, and we are underway. Josh Strang nails the start, and he's got his teammate on the Husqvarna, Rockstar Energy back, Thad Duvall right behind him. Now Duvall, second in points coming into this race. The start did him into our last one, so he's got to be happy in second. But look at Strang, the veteran, former series champion out of Australia, already making tracks up front. We're back to the line for the XC2 division. 250cc bikes, great young talent out here, but no matter what happens, you expect Craig DeLong on the Husqvarna to get a good start. Oh, Nick Davis edges in front of DeLong to grab the whole shot, and so Hotcamp's money, and then DeLong gets it right back from him. DeLong on the Coastal Racing Husqvarna. It's the Fred Andrews Racing Gas for Davis. And then XC3, backed by FMF. It's a 125 class. Jason Raines, old school, grabbing the whole shot here on his YZ125, 40 years old, battling with some kids, including 309 Alex Teagarden, grabbing the FMF whole shot, wrestling away from Raines, and they're battling up the stretch into turn 2. Love listening to those 125s rev it out. Also like to hear the cheer of the fans, and Thad Duvall's the first one to get to them in the woods. Very slippery and muddy hill climb. Look at how slick it is as they come out of that water at the bottom. Caleb Russell just made a move at the bottom. He did not get a good start today, and he's going to have to hustle because especially in these conditions, when it's muddy, slick, ruddy, Duvall is very strong. Same thing with Grant Baylor in second.
The AMSOIL GNCC series on the NBC Sports Network is brought to you in part by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. Rocky Mountain ATV MC, get ready. And by Monster Energy, unleash the beast.
Here at the John Penton GNCC, KTM calls it their annual youth day, and some of our current pros once competed in the youth event here.
It was the first race that I met Jack Penton, and you know, obviously being the John Penton, it's we actually got supported by Jack Penton through the amateur ranks, Grant and I both, and we've been with KTM ever since. You know, I've been racing professionally for KTM for 8 years now, and before that, you know, I had never ridden anything but a KTM. So, and I think it's really cool the way that KTM still kind of embraces this race and does the finishing awards. I can remember coming here, and you know, obviously I wasn't getting a finishing award, I was getting on the podium, but it's still cool. You know, everybody gets a little something from this race that's on a KTM, and I think it's that's racing. You know, it's a family sport, and it's awesome to see stuff like that.
And John Penton himself still around, the original importer of the KTM motorcycle into the United States several decades ago, and that really changed the game of off-road racing. His tireless quest to find a lightweight and rugged machine that could thrive in these types of trails. Just had a battle there between the Honda of Trevor Bollinger battling it out with, I think that was Stu Baylor, who we just had that interview with from earlier today. And here comes Thad Duvall through the mud, starting to pull away from Grant Baylor, who is in second. Baylor still in striking distance. And these conditions so difficult today. Something about this Southern Ohio slop, as I always say, it's sticky on the equipment but slippery to the tires. The bikes will be very heavy and absolutely coated with mud. But when you sink your tires into a rut, it feels like you're riding on ice. And it has been a tough day for your defending champion, Caleb Russell. See him here trying to work his way downhill, then later had to go into the pits. And not the typical sense of urgency here. Russell running third, but well over a minute behind Duvall, your leader. And he might have already adjusted into don't blow it and lose a bunch of points day, as opposed to try to chase Duvall down and take the win. And what has happened here? Oh, geez, there's a chicane there, and because the banners were down, I think he missed it and realized he was essentially cutting the track by going straight. Had to go backwards to make sure he completed the chicane. This is the type of day that if you're Duvall, you're hoping Russell has. You need some sort of break to claw some points back in the series. It has happened. And now Duvall's teammate Strang closing back in on Russell. Maybe he could be even a larger buffer. And then we've got Lane Michael coming through, a rookie in the class this year, showing signs of some speed. We checked in with him earlier.
The first few were good, I was happy with, but then I've kind of just hit I don't like bad luck by any means because I don't really believe in luck, but just kind of had a rough go the past few, put myself in not so good situations, and just been kind of struggling a little bit. So hopefully we get things back on track this weekend. It's really just putting yourself in a good position in the beginning of the race. If you get 2 minutes back on the first couple laps, I mean, you don't stand a chance anymore. So just got to put yourself in a good position off the start and be smart and steady, and just be there when the white flag throws.
Easier said than done today. Michael is the one in the middle here. He just got around Trevor Bollinger, who crashed in that mud. Lane makes it to the top of the hill. Here's Ricky Russell right behind him on the Yamaha. Bollinger goes down for a second time, and you can sense the frustration there of the Johnny Campbell Racing Honda rider. And this is what I'm talking about with this mud. You stick the machine down in it, it's like glue, but for some reason you cannot get traction. And Jordan Ashburn just dumped it, and now he and Bollinger are in a race to see who can pick the motorcycles up first, and now it has become a comedy of errors. I think that was DeLong out of the XC2 class who just went by. Bollinger has just expended probably all of his energy picking that motorcycle up. Meanwhile, no problems at all for our leader, Thad Duvall. Always good in the mud, and could have, should have, would have won this race a year ago in similarly tough conditions, but he missed one of the course markings and had to take a penalty, and that cost him the win. He does not want to throw it away today. Grant Baylor back here in second on the Telly Racing KTM. Here we are through the pit lane, and kind of a slow stop here for Baylor. Oh, they are trying to bump start the machine. That means it will not fire on its own. And one of the fears these teams had This mud sticks to the radiators. It makes the bikes hot, and four-strokes hate refiring when they get hot, and they can't start this machine. They're still trying to bump it. I don't think that's fast enough to jam it in gear. Now we've got another set of hands on it. Now even more other people coming to the rescue. And it appears he's got the thing refired. Wow. Well, they're more tired than he is right now. Grant Baylor back in it in pursuit of Thad Duvall. The fastest female racers in the woods compete in the GNCC's Women's Cross Country, or WXC division. Mackenzie Tricker on the Bonanza Plumbing KTM takes the win.
Yeah, it was crazy. Obviously rained a lot last night, and it was just so sticky. My bike weighs, I don't know, 3 times as much as what it normally would, and there was people stuck everywhere, and yeah, it was a tough one.
Yes, just getting the checkered flag from Ricky Towery, our longtime starter and finisher in these races, is an accomplishment, because this day was tough. This guy's tough as heck. John Penton on hand for his namesake race.
Back in those years, we took and we were using a bunch of road machines and converting them and so forth. And now they're developed into the most highly technical machine that's being built for off the road. We carried that through, and because they were race machines that we were building, we used them ready for race. You didn't have to take them home and change the exhaust pipes or take the engine apart and rebuild it. The whole thing was ready to race, and the most competitive machines out there.
That ready to race still KTM's slogan to this day. Meanwhile, we see race leader Thad Duvall fighting his way through the mud. A little help from the Mud Fleas. It's the nickname for the GNCC fans. So difficult, this course. And going down like Duvall is now, not that easy either, because you get on the brakes and the bike just wants to slide. You see that back tire all over the place. Let's check out this mud bog again. Grant Baylor, who remember had the problems with the bike, stalling before, and then he picks a bad spot to get off and almost falls into that little ravine. Grant really needs a podium finish. Started the year off with recovering from shoulder surgery in the off season, and it has been a slow start to the season. So this would be big for him, but he's got to get up this hill. Oh, and there's down bikes in front of him. Grant makes it to the top, hot pursuit. Josh Strang, so Strang has gotten around Caleb Russell. Good battle for the second place spot. Grant Baylor continues to muscle his way through both the trail and lap traffic. Here comes Caleb Russell. Can he make it? Oh, he's in a bad spot here. That one little ledge we saw catch Trevor Bollinger a lap ago. Big cheers from the crowd. Russell, originally from this area, his grandfather actually owns the land. This is the Sunday Creek motocross track, and then the surrounding woods that make up the cross-country facility. So they love Caleb in this area, but I don't think he loves this place today. It has been tough on him. Looks like he has Stu Baylor not too far back. Oh, and Baylor in that mulch pile almost gets launched over the bars. Everyone having problems at different points today, including your champion and points leader, Caleb Russell, who's back into the pits. And I think this is a welcome rest for these riders after fighting their way through the mud. Has to keep things moving. I don't know if he's going to beat Thad Duvall today, but he doesn't want Duvall to make up too many points on him. Thad is just riding beautifully. And he's also a local product from West Virginia, but not too far over the river. So this would be a popular win. Thad working so hard, training off the bike like a madman, trying to make up ground on Caleb Russell in the series standings.
Thankful enough that, you know, I'm in probably the best shape I ever have been in, and I feel like it's really paying off for sure. And, you know, you see preseason stuff about who's training and who's not, and you kind of really don't have an idea. So when we come into the year, it's kind of like a fresh start, and, you know, now this will be the 7th round of the year, so it's crazy to see how much the intensity has gone up each race. And, you know, there's been races I feel like the intensity's been higher than others, but it's just kind of the way the track feels out and how the track is, and, you know, how, you know, lappers and everything else. And you know, I felt like I really struggled the last race. I don't know, I didn't have it, just kind of rode around and couldn't push the way I wanted to. But, you know, we did some homework, and it's a relief to know that I'm 110% prepared for today for sure.
Well, Thad has really upped his game in the off-the-bike training over the last few years, and that has resulted in a huge step up in his performance on the track. A big training tool for a lot of these riders is the mountain bike, and for the first time ever, we now have mountain bike racing integrated into GNCC. There's former champions Charlie Mullins on the left, Barry Hawk on the right. This is the e-bike series. Leon Hansen, one of the technicians for Thad Duval, part of it. So electric pedal assist mountain bikes making some history here. This was Friday evening. First time we've ever had an event like this in GNCC racing, but this is where the future's going. As electric dirt bikes improve in technology and the e-assist pedal bikes improve in technology, you're almost seeing a merger in the two fields. And to further complete that story, Leon Hansen takes the overall win. That's the man that tuned the suspension on the Husqvarna motorcycles. You see Josh Strang rolling through on his right now, holding off Caleb Russell. That is a big battle now for second because Grant Baylor has run into more bike problems. Strang, last year and a half have been tough on the former series champ, trying to recover from a foot injury and hold off these young kids. Let's see if he can do it.
The AMSOIL GNCC series on the NBC Sports Network is brought to you in part by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. Rocky Mountain ATV-MC, get ready. And by Monster Energy, unleash the beast.
There's the mechanic signboard. You've earned this, Thad Duval. He has battled hard all day long in treacherous conditions, and it looks like Bad Thad is going to be the baddest dude here in Ohio, headed toward his second race win of the year. And this is what they mean by earning it. Look at how difficult that mulch pile section is. Listen to the fans. They've watched Thad grow up in these hills. They've watched him do amazing things on muddy racetracks, and right now they're looking at him getting right back in the thick of the championship picture. Going to try to close the points down to about 15 on Caleb Russell. What happened to the front fender? Almost a perfect day, and then at the very end, loses the front fender. It's surprisingly hard to ride when that happens. Luckily for Thad, it happened right at the end, and the checkered flag is out. He has won the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. It's exactly the way you want a race day to go.
Just one of those days where everything was clicking, and it was super good till the last lap right in front of my dad. There was a gnarly hill climb, and just I messed up and fell and had to go all the way back down the bottom, turn around and go back up. But other than that, man, it was a dream ride. It was all day long. It was just super. I had such good lines, and just, man, it was like I remembered how to ride ruts again. And it's just like growing up, I was just, man, I'm thankful to grow up riding mud like I did. And just, man, I had so much fun today. It was just, I don't know, everything was clicking. The bike was awesome. You know, huge thanks to Leon Hansen at WP Suspension. He came to my house this week, and we tested, and the conditions were so similar to this. It was awesome, and you know, I'm really excited to get a win here and go to Odessa to one of my next favorite tracks. So I just, man, keep clicking them off now. Got the momentum, and to come here and win in front of all my family and friends and win like that, it's awesome for sure.
Still battles out on this racetrack. Russell and Strang still duking it out. This is a classic. These guys have had so many battles over the last 6-7 years, and now Russell trying to make the move. Strang trying to hold him off. Caleb cutting inside, cutting outside, into the mulch pile. Look at the attempts to make passes. Practically a motocross race at this point. Good to see Strang running like his old self, duking it out for podium positions. This would be his first trip to the box this year, but will it be in second or third? Russell gave it a couple of shots. I think Strang might be able to hold him back, making a Rockstar Husky 1-2. Last section of the motocross track, it's so slick, a little dry, a little dusty. You can't run the typical track maintenance during a 3-hour non-stop affair. And in these conditions, Russell's trying to make a last-ditch move. Can't find traction. Josh Strang, welcome back to the podium in second. Russell frustrated in third. And Strang looks exhausted, but he did what he had to do. A buffer in points, helping his teammate Duval. He is spent. Let's catch up with him on the podium.
It's the closest I've ever been to being sick over the finish line. So I probably shouldn't have just thought on that last lap I could keep 45 seconds on Caleb. That's why he's the champ. I think anyone else, 45 seconds on the last lap would have been fine, you know, but I think we were just before the John Penton section. I saw it was down to 16. I was like, man, I better start trying to go. He caught me in the John Penton section, and I kept making mistakes. And I don't know, I just was lucky to stay in front of him.
True warriors, these AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country racers. Strang's day started great, grabbed the whole shot, had Duval right behind him. Grant Baylor, Trevor Bollinger there as well, but not so good of a start for Caleb Russell. Duval gets the lead, and he does better through the mud than everyone else. It wasn't great for anyone, but you can see how difficult it is. Here's Caleb getting stuck. Total chaos here. Bollinger, this is the second time he fell down in the course of about 100 yards. Grant Baylor had a great race going, and then his bike broke. He didn't even finish this race in the end. And with that, the door was open. Battle for second between Strang and Caleb Russell, and Strang just left it all out there to snag his first podium of the season. That's what we talked about at the top of the show. 3-hour races, and they often come right down to the wire. But that was only the battle for second. Duval, unchallenged, unquestionably the man this day in Ohio. That is training harder than ever. Nothing better than putting in the hard work and seeing the results for it. He has such a big lead, he's able to watch the battle coming down to the line between Strang and Russell. These guys were completely spent, completely exhausted, but they still have pretty good form into the final section. You see Russell knows he's not going to get it. He's up on the pegs. They're spent. Strang just trying to get some energy back in his body to even get to the podium. See Josh Toth, 5th overall. That's your top 250 rider today in XC2. He's won 3 in a row in that class. Point standings in XC1. Duval has it down to just 15 on Caleb Russell, and we're heading to some tracks that are gnarly, nasty, and tough, and those are his types of conditions. We have a genuine championship fight once again. Russell and Duval are going to slug it out this year, and that's a really great story because Thad, after showing so much promise in the amateur and youth ranks, he wasn't sure a few years ago if he would even be able to make a living and keep on racing in this sport. The fans stuck with him through thick and thin. He ratcheted himself back up. He reset. He restarted. He's putting in the work. He's getting the race wins. Could be a champion before this year is over. For everyone at Racer TV, I'm Jason Wygant saying thanks for watching the Weisco John Penton GNCC. See you next week.